Most people don't rise because they don't have the stomach for it. They want power without pain, influence without enemies, control without consequences. But Machiavelli knew the truth. If you want to lead, to dominate, to walk through this world untouched, you need something more than ambition. You need something more than hard work. You need a mind that's not just sharp, but monstrous, not evil, not unhinged, just unbothered by what weak minds fear most: being misunderstood, being hated, being alone, being seen as too much. The monster mentality doesn't seek acceptance. It seeks control of self, of time, of space, of perception. And once you've forged it, they won't know whether to respect you or run from you. Both work. Step 1. Cut off the craving to be liked. Most people live inside a prison made of invisible bars, the opinions of others. They check every word before they say it. They modify every action based on what someone might think. They shrink their presence. They lower their voice. They nod even when they disagree. All because they don't want to be judged. That's not kindness. That's slavery. The monster mentality begins the moment you kill your addiction to validation. And you do that by confronting a single truth. No matter what you do, someone will always misunderstand you, dislike you, or secretly hope you fail. So what's the point in pleasing them? Machiavelli warned that men who try to please everyone displease the only one who matters, themselves. The monster doesn't apologize for what makes others uncomfortable. He doesn't tone himself down so smaller minds can feel taller. He doesn't explain his intensity. He simply walks and lets others adjust. You don't owe the world your softness. You owe yourself your power. Step 2. Think in terms of utility, not morality. You've been taught to ask, is this good? Is this right? Is this fair? But Machiavelli didn't ask those questions. He asked, does this strengthen my position? Does this protect my power? Does this move me closer to my outcome? That's the monster shift. From moral fantasy to strategic utility. This doesn't mean cruelty, it means precision. You don't help people because it's nice. You help when it's useful, when it builds loyalty, creates debt, earns leverage. You don't speak the truth to feel righteous. You speak what moves the game forward. You stop asking, am I being a good person? You start asking, am I being an effective force? Because morality will be weaponized against you by those who benefit from your hesitation. But utility makes you unstoppable. Step 3. Embrace emotional coldness when necessary. There's a lie they tell you, that being emotionally open all the time is strength. No, that's how manipulators get in. That's how predators profile you. That's how weakness spreads. The monster mentality trains your nervous system to remain calm under pressure, cold under fire, and quiet when attacked. You don't explode. You don't beg. You don't overshare. You observe. They push your buttons. You show no reaction. They insult you. You blink slowly. They ghost you. You don't chase. They threaten to leave. You tell them to go. Because true strength is not being loud. It's being unaffected. And that coldness, that unshakable quiet, that's what makes people afraid to cross you. Because in a world where everyone is reactive, explosive, over-emotional, you become a terrifying exception. Step 4. Accept that enemies are a requirement, not a failure. People waste years trying to be drama-free. They think if they're kind enough, helpful enough, quiet enough, they'll avoid conflict. But the stronger you get, the more resistance you'll face. It's a law. You'll trigger people with your discipline. You'll offend people with your ambition. You'll lose people when you stop playing weak. You'll attract envy by simply winning. And if you fear that, you'll sabotage your rise just to stay liked. The monster does not seek conflict, but he welcomes the friction that power brings. He understands, if you have no enemies, you've never taken a real stand. So don't flinch when they gossip. Don't defend yourself to the ones who've already made up their mind. Don't beg for peace when war is the cost of respect. You were not born to be liked. You were born to rule your own space. And if someone finds that threatening, that's confirmation you're doing it right. The world does not reward the most talented, the most moral, or the most emotional. It rewards the one who can walk into the fire, unblinking, with a mind sharpened by silence and a heart too cold to beg. That is the beginning of the monster, the kind that Machiavelli feared and admired. Because fear is only effective when you're the one causing it. The moment you let others dictate your emotional weather, they win. The moment you let guilt slow you down, they win. The moment you over-explain, over-apologize, or overthink, you are no longer a threat. You're a servant dressed as a leader. Machiavelli never said, "Be cruel." He said, "If cruelty must be used, use it fast, clean, and once." That's the core of monster mentality. Do what needs to be done. No hesitation, no noise, no need for approval. And once it's done, never look back. Step 5. Turn detachment into a superpower. Most people are prisoners of their attachments. To praise, to relationships, to outcomes, to identities they've outgrown. They confuse loyalty with stagnation. They confuse consistency with weakness. But the monster knows. Attachment creates leverage for the other side. You stay in a dead friendship because of history. You keep pouring into a failing idea because of potential. You stay loyal to systems that have outgrown you just to avoid discomfort. And in doing so, you remain small. The monster does not cling. He detaches early. If it no longer serves your power, your peace, or your precision, you walk. Not out of cruelty, but because you've evolved. This is what makes you terrifying to others. They can't guilt you. They can't trap you with sentiment. They can't control you with emotional debt. You walk clean, without drama, without warning, without regret. And that's when they start realizing you were never emotionally dependent to begin with. They were. Step 6. Study people like a predator, not a victim. Victims wait to be betrayed. Monsters anticipate betrayal before it arrives. Most people call it paranoia. Machiavelli called it wisdom. You learn to read micro-expressions, sense changes in tone, watch who flinches at your success, notice who never claps when you win, track who asks questions that sound like support but reek of envy. You don't accuse, you don't confront, you simply observe and prepare. And when the moment comes, you're already 2 steps ahead. Because that's what the monster does. He gathers data silently, then moves with force. You don't need to control people. You just need to know what controls them. Step 7. Destroy the need to be understood. The hunger to be understood is the fastest path to powerlessness. Why? Because it makes you explain too much, justify too much, reveal too much. And when you do that, they learn your wiring. They learn your wounds. They learn your triggers. The monster? He doesn't explain. He lets the silence confuse them. He lets the mystery build. They won't know why you disappeared, why you said no, why you stopped replying, why you didn't react, and that unknown will haunt them. They'll talk about you more, they'll obsess more, they'll try to analyze you to death. You don't win by being understood. You win by being felt, remembered, and unpredictable. Because once someone thinks they fully understand you, they stop respecting you. Step 8. Let go of empathy that weakens you. There's a kind of empathy that makes you human, and there's a kind that makes you weak. You must know the difference. Feeling compassion for those in pain, strength. Feeling responsible for people who sabotage themselves, weakness. Helping someone up, strength. Dragging them while they kick and scream, weakness. The monster doesn't carry what others refuse to fix. He offers a hand, once, and if they slap it away, he moves on. Because every second you waste trying to save someone who's committed to suffering is a second you could have used to sharpen your weapon. Machiavelli never said to be heartless. He said to guard your heart like a throne and only let the worthy near it. Step 9. Let them underestimate you, then show no mercy. Let them think you're soft. Let them think you're harmless. Let them mistake your silence for insecurity. Smile. Stay quiet. Wait. And when the time comes, unleash a level of clarity, precision, and cold execution that leaves them breathless. That's not revenge. That's revelation. The monster doesn't flex. He waits, and then strikes once with finality. Because when you show power without warning, it's not just impressive, it's soul-shaking. They won't forget it. They won't test you again, and they'll tell others to be careful, without you having to say a word. You weren't born to be passive. You weren't born to chase peace at the cost of your power. You were born to be sharp, precise, impossible to manipulate. That's the monster mentality, and it's just getting started. Now they're watching you differently. They don't know why your presence feels heavier, why they hesitate before speaking, why their compliments sound more like offerings than praise. You haven't raised your voice, you haven't bragged, you haven't begged, but something's shifted, and they can feel it in their gut. That's not charisma, that's dominance built through restraint. Because the final layers of monster mentality aren't about outward aggression. They're about control so refined it becomes invisible, like a weapon concealed beneath calm eyes and still hands. This is where most people fall apart. They build power, but can't sit with it. They win influence, but rush to prove they deserve it. They feel energy rising in a room and immediately give it away by talking too much. Not you. Step 10. Master the art of unresponsiveness. Every moment you choose not to react is a moment you take command of the narrative. They push your buttons. You blink. They test your boundaries. You smile faintly. They try to provoke, and you give them nothing. This silence is not weakness. It's psychological warfare. Because when people can't read you, they start doubting themselves. Did I say too much? Did I go too far? Why didn't they react? What are they thinking? And that doubt is far more damaging than any argument you could have thrown back. Machiavelli knew the power of stillness. In a world of noise, the one who says nothing appears wiser, stronger, and infinitely more dangerous. Step 11. Turn pain into fuel, not identity. Most people carry pain like a badge. They tell their story over and over, hoping someone will validate it. They use it to excuse their limits, to explain their fear, to rationalize their stagnation. But the monster doesn't wear scars on his chest. He buries them in his fists. He doesn't say, "I went through hell." He says, "I came from it." And now, he moves like someone who built himself from the flames. You don't get points for surviving. You gain power by converting survival into steel. Your past? It's not your excuse. It's your evidence. You weren't broken. You were sharpened. And now, everything that once hurt you has become part of your weaponry. Step 12. Make yourself impossible to replace. Invisibility is weakness. Obviousness is vulnerability. But irreplaceability, that's control. Most people beg for attention. You make yourself so valuable they chase your presence. You become the calmest voice in a storm, the strategist who sees two moves deeper than anyone else, the one who never needs approval yet always commands it, the person who can walk away and they know it. Your value isn't in your skill alone. It's in your ability to make others feel unsure of what they'd do without you. That's monster positioning. You don't fight for status. You become the standard. Step 13. Never reveal your desperation. Want to lose power instantly? Start chasing. Start explaining. Start asking for reassurance. Start showing them what you need. They'll use it. Even the kind ones, maybe unconsciously, will shift the balance. The monster shows interest, but never neediness. He can desire something deeply and still walk away without a twitch. Because the moment you let them see your hunger, you put the knife in their hand. Control your appetite. Starve your desperation. Let them guess what you want. Let them fear losing what they want from you. In every negotiation, every relationship, every exchange, the one who can walk away holds the crown. Machiavelli would never beg for loyalty, affection, or understanding. He'd create the conditions where people offer it all, just to stay close. Step 14. Learn to threaten without words. Some threats are loud, most are useless. Real power doesn't need to declare, it implies. When you look at someone and smile, but say nothing, and they shift uncomfortably, that's threat. When you walk away mid-conversation because it bored you, that's threat. When someone insults you, and instead of defending, you observe them like a lab rat, that's threat. Because the strongest message isn't "I will hurt you." It's "I don't need to lift a finger, your own mind will do it for me." And that's the silent tension the monster wields with elegance. Step 15. Command space without asking permission. Most people shrink. In rooms full of louder voices, they fold in. They apologize when they haven't done anything wrong. They sit with their arms close, their energy small, their posture timid. But the monster walks in and owns space. Not by shouting, not by bragging, but by moving like the room is already his. He speaks when it's time. He pauses to let silence stretch. He never fidgets, never fills the air with nervous laughter. He makes people wait. He makes people lean in. That's power without force. That's presence forged in fire. Because when you stop trying to be welcome, you start being felt. You are no longer just a person. You are becoming a force. You are becoming the storm that doesn't rage, it waits. And when it arrives, nothing remains the same.